Hey everyone, and in this video what we're going to be talking about is where should you start reading in the Bible if you're a beginner, or even if you're a bit advanced and you're thinking, okay, I want to hit the Bible from a different angle, where should I start? Now, first and foremost, if I was answering this question maybe, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, my clear-cut answer would have been Genesis, okay? Genesis is the beginning of the Bible. It makes sense to start there and progress forward. Obviously, a few years later now, being a bit more experienced, having gone through the Bible a couple more times in that time, I've realized a couple of different things. Okay, now, firstly, I've realized it depends. Now, largely what I think it depends on is what kind of person you are. Okay, and what specifically you're looking for, or something along those lines. Okay, so I'll give myself an example first and foremost. For me personally, when I first really wanted to start taking the Bible seriously, I wanted to start in Genesis. Okay, because the kind of person I am, I want to start at the beginning. I want to build the foundation and work the way up. Okay, now if you want to basically start from the beginning, get supreme context, starting in Genesis makes the most sense. Why? Because it's the beginning of the Bible. Okay, so reading from there, seeing what happens at the beginning, all of that kind of stuff will help you understand broader context. And this is coming from a person as well, I'll pinpoint this as well. I grew up in a relatively believing household. Okay, we went to church, we read the Bible, all of that kind of stuff. So just full disclosure, so you know that if you don't have that kind of background, if you've never ever been part of the Christian faith or anything like that, and you're just getting into it, I'm not going to say Genesis won't work for you, because if you're like how I am, I describe myself, you want to start from the beginning, you want to get the kind of foundation, then by all means start in Genesis. Okay, let me run through a couple of different examples. Let's say, for example, you're Jewish. Okay, you're Jewish, you want to get into the Bible, all of that kind of stuff. You want to look at it from a different angle. I've got a couple of different suggestions for you. Number one, if you're going to start in the New Testament, I'd pretty much recommend you start in the book of Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew. Why? Because you'll realize pretty quickly the book of Matthew is really Jewish orientated. Okay, if you look at the genealogy, okay, it's really Jewish. It goes all the way back to Adam. Abraham. Okay, opposed to the Gospel in Luke, the genealogy goes all the way back to Adam. Okay, so Matthew, that's one of the prime examples. That's how the book starts. It's really Jewish. Okay, and on top of that, I'll give you just some more context. One of the big things for the Jews and the whole Messiah is he has to be able to track his lineage. Okay, now I think it's AD 70, if I remember correctly, the temple was destroyed, the records were all destroyed, so you're probably going to have a hard time today, a Messiah coming and actually saying it, tracking his lineage all the way back to Abraham. Okay, so you see that first and foremost, then you're like, okay, I'm a Jew, I know Abraham, all of this kind of stuff, it starts linking back, that can help. Another suggestion I'd have for you is, I'd say potentially start in the prophets, okay, prophets in the Old Testament. Why? Because if you recalibrate, if you've heard the prophecies and read the Torah and all that kind of stuff growing up, then jump into the prophets and hit the prophets from an angle of these are prophecies that are talking and foreshadowing the Messiah coming. Obviously, as Bible believers, we believe the Messiah is Jesus. So hit it from that angle and then jump straight into the New Testament, the Gospels, okay? Because it's an easy way for you to look at the prophecies and then look at Jesus and see how he actually fulfilled those prophecies, okay? If you're just completely new to the Bible, never read the Bible before, pretty much limited experience, I'd recommend you start in the book of John, okay? Or the book of Luke, okay? And again, I'm saying this all to say, if you do want to start from the beginning, you are that kind of person that wants to get the meat, then by all means start in Genesis, okay? Genesis is always going to be a great starting point wherever you are, because you're a beginner. But if you're trying to look at it from different things, then the book of John in the New Testament, the book of Luke in the New Testament, I believe, are also good starting points to start reading, okay? And you just read there and you just kind of take it from there. Why? Luke, for example, when you read through the Gospel of Luke, is more centered around Gentiles, okay? And the book of Luke really talks about what Jesus felt, okay? It's quite clear for you to see that but let me not even get into that, okay? The book of John really focuses on who he is, okay? The book of John is really powerful. The book of John is probably my favorite gospel. But the book of John really hones in on who he is and his power, okay? Where Matthew starts with his lineage and it's really Jewish all the way back to Abraham. Mark doesn't bring a lineage because it comes from more of the standpoint of a servant, okay? Luke is more of what he felt, and it goes all the way back to Adam, more Gentile based, okay, all the way back to Genesis, etc. Then you've got John, who focuses on his power, his splendor, his authority, and his lineage is him and God. Just and not to get too technical, what's commonly referred to as the Trinity, okay? The biblical reference, the biblical terminology for that in English is the Godhead, okay? But that's literally how John starts. It's a quick genealogy, and that's it. So, what else? Where's another good place to start? Another good place I'd pretty much recommend is starting in, and I've heard this before from different people, and I thought about this as well. Some people say, and I've always kind of thought like, you know what, I can see why people would do that, is starting in the book of Revelation, okay? Now, there's a couple of reasons why this makes sense. Number one, a lot of people I don't want to say frown against, a lot of people are scared to jump into the book of Revelation, okay? But if you kind of just attack the elephant in the room straight away, okay, you just wipe away any potential anxiety that will come through it. On top of that, every day we move closer to the last days, if we're not in the last days already, okay? So it'll be interesting for you to read the book of Revelation and kind of observe different things that are going on right now, and that it's not guaranteed for you to understand it, because to really understand the book of Revelation, you really have to understand all the rest of the scriptures in the Bible, all the other chapters and books and all that stuff. Why? Because a lot of Revelation is based on allusions from other places in the Bible, and if you don't understand those things first, you will never fully understand or highly understand the book of Revelation. So Genesis, starting in potentially the prophets, any prophet as major prophet, probably say Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Daniel, any of those, starting Matthew, Luke, John, even Mark if you want, it doesn't matter, or potentially Revelation. So those are the different places I'd recommend, okay, for all of these different kind of scenarios. But one thing I will say as well that you could do is you should kind of know what kind of person you are, whether you like a lot of action, whether you like a story built up, whether you like romance, whether you like war, whatever you like. A quick thing you can do is literally go on the internet, Google whatever it is, and just type in book in a Bible that has ... okay, that has war, that has romance, that has action, that has betrayal, whatever it is. And I'm pretty sure you'll find a story or a chapter or a book in the Bible that has that. And that, again, is a great way for you to actually just jump into something really quickly and say, okay, you know what, this is what I want to cover. So on that note, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, okay, for instant updates when we put out new videos. Like the video, obviously, and as always, comment below this video because we want to take this conversation further. Okay, where do you think is the best place to start in the Bible? And in fact, where did you start in the Bible when you first started reading it, and how did that pan out? As always, thanks and take care, and I look forward to continuing the conversation down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks and take care, and God bless.